Hello and a very good morning to all our viewers. I'm Neha Bhan and you're watching today's Page 1. I'm also joined by my colleague Nancy Bora. In this show, what we do is we take a look at what's really making the headlines. And to speak of the headlines, we'd like to begin our day by discussing about what's really been happening in Manipur, where internet was restored just a few days back, but unfortunately now, internet has been suspended again. So if I have to read how the Hindu has really covered the news and what really has happened, to give our viewers a bit of the background. So what has happened is that two students who went missing in the month of July, they have in fact been found. Their bodies have been found. They were killed, unfortunately, and that's what is really causing the unrest in this tiny northeastern state in India. So now internet was in fact suspended again after the students, there were many students in Imphal who staged a protest, and in fact it's being said that the protest went, in fact the police sort of found it difficult to control the protesters. So here is how the Hindu has covered the news. Scores of students were injured in Imphal as police fired tear gas shells to disperse a crowd that had gathered to protest the killing of two Metis students who went missing in July. The photos of the bodies of the two friends surfaced on social media a day ago. The Manipur government said the two students were murdered. In fact, this case, particularly this case, is also now being investigated by the CBI. It has been handed over to the CBI, and here the state has also ordered the closure of all schools till September 27th and 28th in the wake of prevailing law and order situation. Mobile internet services were suspended again for 5 days shortly after being restored on the 23rd of September. Now, as Manipur was taking these tiny steps towards normalcy, it appears that dark clouds are hovering yet again over Manipur, where two students who went missing in the month of July, their pictures, the pictures of their dead bodies, the gory details in fact went viral on social media. It was the state government that kept on requesting people to be in fact aware of what they were really sharing, and in fact they've also requested people to think about the family members of those who are in fact who are shattered because after losing their family members. These two students, they were still in their 20s. They in fact were said to be from the Metis community, and they in fact have been killed. Nancy, how has the Indian Express, if we have to speak of, covered the news?
I was also, reading about Manipur. I mean, it's disheartening what has happened with both of the students. And, Indian Express has just reported there are fresh protests in Imphal following the death of the two students. And I was just reading about the report and I just saw this quote, one of the students who got killed, his father has said that her gaze, one of the students, the girl that got killed, her father has said that her gaze in that photo, I've never seen that before. It pains me a lot, such a deep look filled with love and emotion. Why did they kill the two children? I mean, what the family must have been going through. The head of that male student was missing in that photograph. I mean, when they got to see the pictures, I mean, what the first thought would have that come to their mind? I mean, the horrific incidents that we have been reporting. And then you see, to live in a state where, it's been, there is the tension and the uproar has been in the Manipur state for more than 3 months now. And then you are receiving photographs the moment internet is restored. And now I was reading about it and it says that the government has said the internet will not get restored till 5 days. But Neha, what's interesting in the whole Manipur story is the angle which I saw in one of the newspaper. It says two Metis hacked in fresh Manipur horror, and now they are saying that it was a love story. They both were eloping and they mistook the location, they got lost and they ended up in a village that was a cookie dominated area, and that is why they got killed. I mean, even after having so much of violence we have seen, the kind of horrific incidents that we have been reporting, when this kind of things come up, that they were lovers, they were eloping.
Even if they were lovers, how do you justify
how do
this?
I justify this? I mean, this is something, adding to that story, these kind of details, they don't add up to anything. But, to paint that picture, to come up with stories, they were lovers, that is why we killed them, or they were trying to elope, so they got punished for it. I mean, I get it, there has been ethnic, some clashes between Methi and the Kukis. The ideologies don't match. But humanity, I mean, that is being lost. We are talking about returning peace in Manipur, we are talking about returning normalcy in Manipur, but I think now we should also talk about returning humanity in Manipur as well, because the kind of incident that we have been covering for the past days, there was a hope that internet was restored, and we thought that now the situations are going to get better. But then you have an incident like this that shooks the whole society to the core, and now you have internet shut, you have protests, fresh protests. I mean, obviously the Methi community is going to retaliate, obviously the cooking going community. I mean, this kind of clash is going to happen again and again and again. I mean, how is that going to help us, and how is that going to give us the assurity that yes, Manipur, that things will get better in Manipur? I think that looks like a far-fetched dream now, Neha.
Yeah, and also, Nancy, I think at this point we also need to take a look at the kind of role that social media has played.
Definitely.
I think it's very important for people to be aware of what really they're, sharing. I think we have kind of, I don't know if that is the right way to put it, but it appears that, it at least appears to some, that kindness is somewhere missing. To what extent are you really willing to share information that could literally shatter someone's life? For example, in this case, just think about the plight of those parents who would have seen their daughter's picture, their son's picture just going viral, like that on the internet. And here the government also seems to be dealing, facing a bit of a tough time in dealing with the misinformation aspect of it. So that is what the Times of India here has covered, that as the protest by higher secondary students appear to go out of hand, police rained batons and used tear gas to disperse them. Now, it was the first such clash involving students since Manipur plunged into a spiral of arson, rioting, gunfights and blockades by women activists in May. Protests and rallies by students also took place in several districts, and in fact also in some districts in Imphal West. Now, here that's the important bit. The State Home Department said the government was focused on stemming the wave of misinformation, rumors and other forms of provocation through social media platforms. One only wonders that what are the kind of stories that are buried in Manipur, and God forbid if there are many other such stories like we got to witness in the past, like we saw just yesterday or day before yesterday. One wonders that if these stories come out, where is kindness, where is empathy, what are we really looking forward to when it comes to Manipur? What is it that we want to do with the state? What are we willing to do for the sake of a few likes, for the sake of send
out a message that your community is stronger, don't mess with the community, you're going to get punished if you they were lovers, they were eloping the house, so we punish them. I mean, these kind of messages, it's 2023 we're talking about, and Manipur, that violence has been going on for 3 months. People are aware about the situation, the government has been informed, meetings are being held, but I mean, what is the solution? Because now it's like it became a national issue for sure, but now even the international agencies are covering it. There are talks in European Union, there are talks at UN about Manipur. Everybody is so concerned about it that this situation needs to get in control, because if it goes out of hand, worse things could happen. And I was reading about it in the Times of India only.
I'll just interrupt you. The fact of the matter that you took these names. इसमें Nancy एक ये aspect भी है कि कैसे मतलब भारत में जब भी कुछ होता है ना, बाहर के देश जो हैं वो बहुत ही मतलब they are so eager कि बस कुछ और वो comment करे, कुछ और वो comment करे, कुछ और comment करें. तो मतलब it's like if you also take a look at these visuals, look at what exactly has happened yesterday. These students were staging a protest against the killing of their fellow students, and the police had to resort to lathi charge. Look at the helplessness, Nancy, on their faces. Look at these students. This is so unfortunate to see them in this state. This is the time when they should have been in their classes, when they should have been studying, looking forward to a bright future. look at what they, what has happened to them, and look at what has happened to Manipur. It is so, tragic, these students just there sitting in the middle of the road, staging a protest, just so desperate that someone should hear us.
Yeah, these are just students, merely what, 16 years old, 15 years old.
Maybe even
younger than that, 14 years old maybe. This is not what they should be doing. Think about it, that you hear a story about like that, you see a picture of your friend or your classmate.
Nancy, I'll just interrupt you. Here on our screens we have the closure of schools. That's the notice there. I'm directed to invite a reference to the above subject and to convey approval of the government to close all state government, in fact aided, private, unaided schools on the 27th, that is today, and 29th, that is Friday, in view of the prevailing law and order situation in the state. There you have it. Just yesterday, Nancy, you and I were speaking about how the state was taking tiny steps towards normalcy, and now we get to witness this.
Yeah, the internet just got restored in Manipur, and the moment it got restored, you saw
I think on 23rd of September.
Yeah, and the moment it got restored, just in 2 days, we had visuals of that pictures of the two students went viral on social media. Where does it stop? What is the solution?
That is the big question.
I'm even tired of asking the government. Shutting the internet is not going to help. Look at the students. They are on the streets. Well, they should be in the school. What kind of toll it might have been taken on them to see a picture of your classmates, your friends being murdered, and then their picture is going viral on social media. That is something I don't think so that anybody should go through, and especially kids of that age. Normalcy in Manipur seems such a
distant dream as of now.
A distant dream. It seems like an impossible task now, because now even children are involved. First we were talking about two communities, Methi and Cookies, and then other tribal communities, they also got into the clash, and now we have elderly, we had women, and now we have children also. What aspect of civilization is left to get affected by this ongoing clash that is happening? And I was just reading about it. It says that 21 British MPs flag Manipur violence and seek to halt FTA talks. It was, now even the international.
I think you'd also agree that whatever the West says, we should take it with a pinch of salt.
No, definitely.
Europe, the West.
Their opinion obviously doesn't matter, because this is a matter that is going to get solved by, it's a national issue. I think only the state government.
But the fact of the matter
not
also
even
is that it is happening. It is happening, and which is why they're raising it.
International agency, they have been, we raised, objections about the European Union report. We said that no, this is not correct. Stop trying to, this is not a regional violence. They use the word religion or violence, beg your pardon. And we said no, it's a communal violence. Stop painting a picture about it if you don't have all the facts. We ask you not to report it because you're doing biased reporting, and I get all of that. But still, if an issue is gaining international, coverage, attention, I think that is something very concerning, because it's tarnishing the image of India. It's not just about the image of India anymore. It's about the lives of these students who are on the streets protesting for their classmates.
As you said, as you rightly said, it's not only limited to students, unfortunately. It is affecting everyone. There is hardly anyone who has been left unaffected. There are people who have lost their homes, who have lost their lives. All of this will settle down, Nancy, but what will happen once it settles? That is the big question. It will take these people a lifetime to get over the horrific memories of these months, whatever has happened. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, I've always told you, the solution, I've been writing on Manipur, I've been speaking to people. I think the solution which many people who have lived in Manipur, have covered Manipur, have told me that the solution only lies in both of these communities sitting and just taking a look at what exactly is the solution, what is it that can be done.
Yeah, we were talking about a lot of aspects, that this whole racket of illegal arms, the fencing issue, the anti-narcotics thing that has to be covered, the Myanmar fencing thing has to be sorted out. There should be, you said it very correctly yesterday, that these communities really need to sit down and talk about it, because the solution is going to come within.
Yeah,
nobody,
absolutely.
no matter what the government
decide that enough is enough.
Definitely. The two communities needs to sit down together and talk about possibility of returning peace in Manipur and how they can coexist peacefully in Manipur. I think that is something very important. But again, the question is, if incidents like this will continue to happen, how can one community will, I mean, it's an obvious, you know,
I think
it's triggering incidents.
It's the issue of trust deficit, but we'll continue discussing it, Nancy. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has also, in fact, spoken on the happenings in Manipur. Let's listen in.
You know, what is happening today in Manipur, I think one part of the problem in Manipur has been the destabilizing impact of migrants who have come. That's one aspect of it. But there are also tensions which obviously have a long history which precede that. Today, I think the effort is on the part of the state government and the union government to find a way by which, a sense of normalcy returns, that arms which were seized during that period are recovered, that there is an adequate law and order enforcement out there so that incidents of violence don't happen.
Of course, there, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar also commenting on it. It's not, as we were discussing, it's not like the government is not taking enough steps to ensure that normalcy returns to Manipur as soon as it can. Or, in fact, the state government is also trying its best. But these stories, whenever they come out, whenever, it kind of, the trust deficit, it just enhances, it just increases. Instead of, both of these communities, even though there may be an intent, okay, enough is enough, let's go, let's speak amongst ourselves, let's see where the solution lies. But then whenever such incidents happen, it kind of, makes sure that, you go back to where it all began. It brings back, one incident triggers another, that triggers another. So the cycle just, keeps on going. Well, also, now let's take a look at some other stories that are happening, and we go back to the India-Canada row. What's been happening on that front? Well, to begin with, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has put it out the way it should have been, and he has said that politics cannot dictate response to terrorism, to terror. In fact, here he says that in a resounding smackdown directed implicitly at the United States and Canada, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar told the UN on Tuesday, and I quote, "Political convenience cannot dictate response to terrorism, extremism and violence." Jaishankar did not directly refer to New Delhi's spat with Ottawa and its patron US over the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, but he left no doubt who and what he was referring to when he asserted that respect for territorial integrity and non-interference in internal affairs cannot be exercises in cherry picking. I think there the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, it was a much anticipated statement of his at in his, in fact, UNGA speech. And just to give our viewers a bit of background, Nancy, what exactly has been happening. So India and Canada are now engaged in a diplomatic showdown. What has happened that Canada has accused India, it has alleged India's involvement in the killing of a Khalistani terrorist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, and that has not gone down well with India. There have been many developments that have taken place ever since, be it India, in fact, asking the Canadian ambassador to go back, be it India also taking, in fact, also Canada has done the same, be it India asking its citizens to be cautious in view of the recent developments, or be it Canada also asking its citizens to be cautious of the recent developments, and so on and so forth. I mean, there are many things, Nancy, that have taken place, and now this statement of the External Affairs Minister is something that was anticipated, that was awaited, and we know, as we were discussing also, that External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, is somebody who will not hold back, who will put it on the table, who will just speak as in the language that that is understood by our so-called allies, and also to discuss the kind of role that the United States has played here. So the External Affairs Minister, I think, has put it as it should have been, that politics cannot dictate response to terror. It's as simple as it can.
Yeah, I mean, I was just reading about it, and I just you know, I admire the man, the way he just said, you know, the reporters were asking him about the investigation. I mean, what are the evidence and what is it? And he just said, I am not the FBI. You're asking to the wrong person here. I'm not a part of the FBI. If they have some allegations, let them investigate. And when asked about, you know, is India going to, you know, cooperate with the, you know, probe? So he just simply said that we are going to, you know, look into it. We are going to consider it. And if we see that, you know, if our cooperation will help us to get to the crux of the matter, we'll definitely consider it. But we are just not going to, you know, cooperate with Canada just because the US said so. I mean, the influence of West is just not going to make, you know, impact our decision making process. And I just love, I was just reading about, he said that the days when a few nations set the agenda and expected others to fall in line are over. I mean, that is what New India is about. You know, we are done being manipulated, being, you know, ordered around by the West or by any developed country. You know, just because you want us to look into the matter doesn't mean we'll have to look into the matter.
And talking about that, I'm just going to repeat what he said, that, you know, respect for territorial integrity and non-interference in internal matters cannot be exercises in cherry picking. I think that's something that's, you know, as you rightly said, that the time has long gone when India was told how to behave, when India was told what to do, and when perhaps India used to listen, if that's not a very big statement to make. I think now we have a tongue of our own. We know what we're doing. We know what we're doing, and we know how to deal with those people who I'm not even going to name anyone, but I'm sure you'll get what I'm talking about. But I will very much like to act like the so-called big daddy, the so-called global police.
Definitely.
I think we kind of, you know, don't need that anymore.
I think what he said at the UNGC, I think he made complete sense. He just retaliated. He just said that, you know, in our deliberations, whatever we are going to do is our decision completely. We are going to make independent decisions. So stop asking me questions about what do you think of US said. We don't care what US said.
And I think
we are not going to follow an advisory of US that please go talk to him. You both are our friends. We want you to
cooperate with Canada.
Cooperate with Canada. We are deeply concerned.
किसने मांगी advice? मतलब आप तो ना आपका लेना देना आप बस आ रहे हैं.
I mean, you are deeply concerned and we are deeply concerned. I mean, what deep concern these nations have, I have to understand, because clearly India has been the deep concern right now. Only deep concern is that you guys, Canada is becoming a safe haven for terrorism.
That's what the Sri Lankan finance minister also said. That
he backed us.
Even you know, Justin Trudeau is also now slowly getting isolated on the world stage. Look at the world stage. Look at how Bangladesh has reacted. Look at how Sri Lanka has reacted. These you know these.
I mean, it's high time. I think it's very important that, you know, the agenda of G20, that global South. I think it's important that it's high time that all the South Asian countries, all the developing countries, especially, they need to understand that they should not get manipulated or bossed around by these developed countries. They use the resources, they've exploited it, and they became the developed countries. They have no right to interfere in our matters. If a diplomatic relation is going on, I think the global South that we were talking about, we need to, you know, stick together, we need to unify together, and we need to put a united front that an developed country or the West cannot just come up with an allegation and say, no, this is that, you guys are poor, this is not. I think that is not something that I think is acceptable, and I think Jaishankar, he went and he just represented India as he should have.
I know you're a fan.
Definitely.
All right. Well, in fact, let's listen into what our External Affairs Minister, Mr. S. Jaishankar, had to say about the India-Canada showdown.
I'll share with you very frankly what we told the Canadians. One, we told the Canadians that this is not the Government of India's policy. Two, we told the Canadians saying that, look, if you have something specific, if you have something relevant, you know, let us know. We are open to looking at it. So, but to understand the context of it, in a way, you know, because the picture is not complete without the context in a way, you also have to appreciate, Ken, that in the last few years, Canada actually has seen a lot of organized crime, you know, relating to, you know, the secessionist forces, organized crime, violence, extremism. They're all very, very deeply mixed up. So, in fact, we have been talking about specifics and information. We have actually been badgering the Canadians. We have given them a lot of information about organized crime leadership, which operates out of Canada. There are a large number of extradition requests. There are terrorist leaders who have been identified. So do understand that there is an environment out there. So that is important in a way to factor in if you have to understand what is going on out there. And our concern is that it's really been very permissive because of political reasons. So we have a situation where actually our diplomats are threatened, our consulates have been attacked, and often comments are made about there's interference in our politics, and a lot of this is often justified as saying, well, that's how democracies work.
Well, we keep discussing about the India-Canada showdown, but before that, today is the big show at 10 p.m. The Duologue, TV9's MD and CEO Barun Das will be in a candid conversation with founder of the Isha Foundation and spiritual leader Sadhguru. Take a look.
How do you define success? And is success important?
Success is the only thing that's there in life.
So between happiness and success, which would you prioritize?
Happiness is also success, isn't it?
And then success leads you to happiness?
No.
Then?
Why do you need happiness when you're successful?
How do you feel once you're successful? There's a feeling. Yeah, happiness is an expression of your
feeling. I'm already
feeling.
Exuberant and blissed out.
An ordinary person like me.
You're a very special guy. You keep on saying, I'm ordinary, I'm ordinary.
No, as I said, ordinary is extraordinary. So maybe somewhere in my mind, I believe that I'm extraordinary.
Duologue with Barun Das featuring Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. World premiere on Connected TV. Tonight at 10, only on News9 Live. India's first and only digital exclusive English news stream for Connected TV. Supported by Alliance Broadband.
Welcome back. Well, to continue our discussion on what's been happening on the India-Canada front, here you heard just before the break how Mr. S. Jaishankar, in fact, has now spoken in a very firm voice and has said that politics cannot politics cannot dictate response to terror. So that's something that I think बताना बहुत जरूरी था और बता दिया है. अब पता ही था कि ये बताएंगे, but it's good that he has kind of
raised it.
Yeah, I mean and S. Jaishankar, so to speak, is a kind of person who has never really held back, as we were discussing, but also a very important we are again going to sound repetitive, but then it's been happening. I think US has been up to so many things lately, and honestly those acts also are so repetitive that one cannot just simply skip it. For example, now this again, United States has called for a full and fair investigation into Canada's allegation against India. Is there a limit to hypocrisy? Nancy, I really want to ask this. It's their newspaper NYT which has come out with the report that it was the United States which gave the so-called intelligence to Canada, and now free and fair probe after claiming to be friends of India, and after saying that we want to build relationship with India. And just yesterday, in fact, Eric Garcetti, he gave a statement and said that India and Canada, both countries are very important to us, and we can see how important they take their relationship with India and how important they perceive India to be.
I mean, US is trying so hard right now to keep both the legs in the two boats. I think that
we know what's going to be the end.
I mean, this is not something that I think, you one day you make a statement and you say Trudeau is a friend, Canada is a very important, the ties we have, but we have a very important strategic tie with India. We request you guys should, cooperate with each Other. India should look into the probe. India should not take it, India should not be that defensive. It should, be acceptable to it. They should follow the order. But my problem is that, you know, in the way I think Jaishankar was very right to put it is like, first give us proper credible allegations that you had, that you have been investigating, so that your agencies, Trudeau just came to the House of Commons and he said that, you know, we have credible allegations and my security agencies, we are working on it seriously, intense searching is going on, intense investigation is going on. I mean, what are these credible investigations? What kind of facts are you basing your allegations on?
These are, those so-called, you know, the kind of allegations that they've made and the kind of credible information that they have, that's something that cannot be shared, but it is credible. In fact,
share it with India at least.
Baba, why will they share it with India? It's over then. No, the game, फिर मजा नहीं आएगा ना वो चूही बिल्ली के खेल में. So, Matthew Miller, in fact, here has yet again urged India and asked for its cooperation when it comes to, in fact, when it comes to take a look at the allegations that have been made by, in fact, Canada against India. Listen in.
So I made comments on this yesterday. I can restate them here, which is that we are obviously quite concerned about the situation in Canada. We've cooperated closely with our Canadian counterparts, and we have urged India to cooperate in that investigation, and will continue to do so. And India remains an important partner of the United States. We work with them on a number of issues, but of course, on this matter, we urge them to cooperate with the Canadian investigation.
That's not it. In fact, Nancy, Canada's envoy to the United Nations, Robert Ray, during his address to the UNGA, also has raised the issue of foreign interference. Let's listen into what he has to say.
At the same time, as we put great emphasis on the importance of equality, we also have to uphold the values of free and democratic societies. We cannot bend the rules of state-to-state relations for political expediency, because we've seen and continue to see the extent to which democracies are under threat through various means of foreign interference. But the truth is, if we don't adhere to the rules that we've agreed to, the very fabric of our open and of our free societies may start to tear.
All right, well, moving on to some other stories of the day. Here we have an update, Nancy, that you would like to share with all our viewers when it comes to Pakistan and its dealing with the Khalistani elements. We believe it's so-called coming down heavily. If that's
I mean, we were talking about safe havens for terrorism. I think we have said it repeatedly that the same problem we have with Pakistan is now we are going to have with Canada also. Stop harboring terrorists. Stop, because it's not
that
just...
That would be to ask too much from Pakistan.
Too much from
which
Pakistan.
Thrives on terrorism.
And it looks like it's too much to ask from Canada also, because they are so hell-bent on protecting the freedom of speech of terrorists that they are ready to mend their ties, to break their ties with India as well. And I was just reading a report. It's a report from Dainik Bhaskar. It says Pakistan mein Khalistan आतंकियों में दहशत safe house में दुबके हुए हैं. I mean, we have been coming out and we are saying that Pakistan is a safe haven. I think the problems that we had with Pakistan over the years was that stop harboring terrorists. You are the one who is finding, an ISI, an organization that we talk about a lot, is again in the matter, and it's saying that Pakistan में बरसों तक खुलेआम रहने वाले खालिस्तानी आतंकवादी. I mean, after the allegations, after the probe came to the Khalistani terrorist in Pakistan, अब दहशत के साए में दुबके हुए हैं. सूत्रों के अनुसार पाकिस्तान खुफिया एजेंसी ISI ने लगभग 15 प्रमुख खालिस्तानी आतंकियों को 12 सेफ हाउस में रखा हुआ है. ये घटनाक्रम 1 महीने के दौरान हुआ है. इन खालिस्तानी आतंकवादियों के लिए पाकिस्तानी हैंडलर्स ने राजधानी इस्लामाबाद और पाकिस्तान की ईरान से लगती पश्चिमी सीमा के आर्मी हेडक्वार्टर के पास बने सेफ हाउस में पनाह दी है. So I mean, you know, when the whole this probe came into, you know, headlines, everybody was talking about Khalistani terrorist. NIA kept, you know, went on a surge. They started targeting Khalistani terrorists. They made a list and they started investigating on it. One of the you know, so I think that prompted the Khalistani terrorists who have been living, you know, without any fear in Pakistan, because Pakistan obviously was a safe haven for them. They got scared. They were like, no, this is something that is going to get on us. So now the Pakistan has come up, the ISI organization that we talk about, they have come up and they are providing safe houses to them. For 15 terrorists, for 15 Khalistani terrorists, they have been made 12 safe houses for them. I mean, that is something so problematic that India has been raising over and over again that please stop harboring these terrorists. They are not a threat to India. They are just not doing anti-India activities, but they are doing global. It's a global threat. So if you if you fund them, if you provide them a platform to perform anti-India activities or anti-humanity activities, terror activities, I mean, that is going to take us nowhere. So after Canada and Pakistan, the same issue. Stop harboring terrorists. India has been saying us out repeatedly, but then we have the West nations who come up and say that probe into the matter, look into the matter. I mean, what is there to look for India? That is something that I would never understand, and this is something that is very problematic. That is something we really need to sit down and talk about it. And I was just reading about it. It said that ISI में मेजर जनरल रैंक का अफसर खालिस्तान सेल के काम को देखता है. ISI का मेजर जनरल रैंक का डायरेक्टर खालिस्तानी आतंकवादियों के साथ मंसूबों को अंजाम देता है. इसके लिए एक अलग खालिस्तानी सेल है. ISI 40 साल से खालिस्तानियों को फंडिंग मुहैया करा रही है. कनाडा, ब्रिटेन, अमेरिका और ऑस्ट्रेलिया ने होने वाली खालिस्तानी जनमत संग्रह में भी ISI ने एजेंट्स ने मदद की है. सो first it was ISI, now we are talking about Khalistani terrorists, and in the report it says that from the sources it was reported that they have been funding terrorism for the past 40 years now. The Khalistani activities that now people are getting aware about, now that India have raised, now this is not some, this is also a threat. Now that people know about it, Pakistan have been harboring them, funding them. The Director General of ISI.
Pakistan also needs funding. Pakistan has been funding, Pakistan has been harboring, Pakistan has been sheltering, and Pakistan has been shamelessly refusing. And all of it is going to come down to haunt them, and it is going to happen, and it is happening. Look at the state, Pakistan is
there's going to be a time and on international platform also other countries, apart from US, Canada, who are just not able to see the bigger picture here. I think the developing countries who have been suffering from this terror activities, who have been trying to control terrorism, but just because some countries decide to harbor them, some countries decide to create a safe house for them. We as developing countries, we as developed countries, we are facing these issues. I think there is going to be a time when they are going to regret this decision. They are going to, because someday if they are turning against us, there will be a time that they turn against you.
I mean, the hypocrisy of the West is, worth, it's worth noting. How they have been acting, how they have been quite shy when it comes to, condemning Pakistan for its various acts of terrorism, for the sheer fact that, they have been harboring these terrorists, these anti-India elements, and they have been pushing terrorists in India. They have been trying their best to cause unrest in India. And in fact, if you can see what happened even in the United States, even after that, what happened during 9/11, and even after that, now US coming out and favoring, so-called providing the intel to Canada, and then asking India to cooperate and assuming that it's going to get away. All of it is going to come back. Today maybe it's India, tomorrow it will be someone else, day after it will be someone else. It's not going to end with it, right?
Definitely.
So, all right, let's also take a look at some breaking news that we're getting right now. That National Investigation Agency is conducting raids across 6 states in 3 cases in 51 locations belonging to associates of Lawrence Bhaiyya and Arjadallah gangs. Do remember, these two are Khalistani elements, these two are Khalistani terrorists, and now the National Investigation Agency is conducting raids, and these raids are taking place in 6 states relating to 3 cases in 51 locations. Now these raids are in fact being conducted at locations which belong to the associates of Lawrence Bhaiyya and Arjadallah gangs. The NIA just in its report, in fact a couple of days ago, also had mentioned how Hardeep Singh Nijjar and Arjadallah were both, in fact how Hardeep Singh Nijjar was a Canadian citizen, and how Arjadallah was very closely associated with in fact Hardeep Singh. Both Arjadallah and Hardeep Singh Nijjar were very closely associated, and they also in fact were said to be getting their getting a lot of support from Pakistan. And there you now have it on your screens. The gangsters with Khalistani ties are under scanner. The National Investigation Agency is conducting raids across 6 states in 3 cases and 51 locations. In fact, Dainik Bhaskar has covered this news and it says that National Investigation Agency ने पंजाब में 30 जगहों पर रेड की है. बताया जा रहा है कि ये छापा मारी भारत कनाडा विवाद और खालिस्तान समर्थकों की धमकी के बाद की गई है. हालांकि अधिकतर तौर पर इसकी पुष्टि नहीं हो पाई है. So that's how, in fact, it's being covered in the story. As we go along the day, it will obviously develop and more details will come out.
Yeah, definitely. I was just reading about it and it's just said that, you know, the locations, the 50 locations that the NIA has raided across is that 50 are from Punjab, 13 are from Rajasthan, 4 are from Haryana and 2 are from Uttarakhand and 1 is from Delhi and UP respectively. So, I mean, the NIA has been actively, you know, coming out and putting out raids, conducting raids, and they have just gone out. Their aim is to get to the crux of this matter, get to the crux of this Khalistani terrorist, and they have been repeatedly saying that, you know, the Khalistani terrorists who are performing anti-India activities and emerging in anti-India activities are in foreign soil, are being funded by Khalistani terrorists here in the land. So that is something interesting. So I think we'll wait and see for more details of what NIA can be successful in this raid.
Right. Well, moving on, Mr. Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, has also spoken about the relationship that the India-China relationship, and in fact has said that it's never been easy. Listen in. Well, in fact, we'll just get his bite in a bit. But here the External Affairs Minister in fact highlighted the India-China relations that have gone through cycles of conflict and cooperation over the next 75 years and said that relationship between the two nations has not been easy. This is how the NDTV has covered it. I'm quickly just going to quote Mr. Jaishankar before we come out of this story, and he said that I was the ambassador in 2009 right after the global financial crisis till 2013. I saw the change of guard in China and then I came to the US. It has never been an easy relationship. It always had its share of problems. And now this is what Mr. Jaishankar said.
I mean, Neha, you know, definitely, you know, what Jaishankar was talking about and the naval territory that has been an issue for the longest of time. He also commented on it and said that in the last 20 to 25 years, there has been a steady increase in the Chinese naval presence. And they are deeply concerned about it. They are going to look into the matter because these activities, these China ports, and we have always talking about that Indo-Pacific region, we have to get it strong. Whether it's territorial, you know, the way they, you know, are dominating the territorial integrating that they are cutting out, is something also very, you know, it's been India's on alert about it as well. And the naval presence, you know, from the Bay of Bengal and everything, I think India is on alert and it's sending out the message that this activities we need to stop. This kind of dominance and this bullying is not going to work with the new India.
Right. Well, that's all we have in today's Page 1. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day ahead.
How do you define success? And is success important?
Success is the only thing that's there in life.
So between happiness and success, which would you prioritize?
Happiness is also success, isn't it?
And then success leads you to happiness?
No.
Then?
Why do you need happiness when you're successful?
How do you feel once you're successful? There's a feeling.